Our next story is from Genesis, and this story is about Sarah. Sarah was the wife of a guy I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with, Abraham. Now, as we know, Abraham was a really religious guy, and during this story, Abraham was going through an intense spiritual growth. But Sarah was still a non-believer. Now, Sarah was skeptical about God, although not outright against him either, as whenever Abraham was called by God, Sarah would follow along as well. Another important thing to note, though, was that Sarah was barren, and what this means is that she was unable to give birth and have kids. Now, at that time and in that culture, being barren was a serious shame for women. So, keep that in mind and let's get right into the story. Now, at the beginning of the story, we have these men that come and visit Abraham, and they tell him that he and his wife Sarah would be having a son in the next year. Now, Sarah is nearby by a tent eavesdropping, and when she hears this, she laughs. Because one, she knows she's barren, and two, at that time, Abraham was 100 years old, and Sarah was probably in her 90s as well. Even though time might have been calculated a little differently then as it is now, we can assume that Sarah was at a really, really old age, probably around your grandparents' age. So just imagine that. Okay, if your grandparents told you that they were going to be giving birth to another child, would you believe that? I don't think you would. But God hears Sarah laugh, and he asks her why she's laughing. God claims that he can do anything, including make this possible. When Sarah hears this, and when Sarah sees God confront her like this, instead of backing up all her laughter and big talk and whatnot, she ends up lying and saying that she didn't laugh. But then God responds with, yes, you did laugh. Now, this reminds me of a situation I'm sure we've all faced to some degree. It's where in the past hour you've been in your room scrolling through TikTok, watching YouTube videos, watching Netflix shows, who knows what. But then suddenly you hear your mom approaching your room. So then you quickly switch the tab to make it seem like you're doing something productive, like homework. And so when your mom asks you, what were you doing in your room for the past hour? You say, oh, just homework. But what you didn't realize is that 5 minutes ago your mom already peeped through your door and saw what you were doing. So then she responds with, but you weren't doing that. I know what you're doing. I saw what you're doing. I know. Now, this situation is awfully similar to what's happening between Sarah and God here. But pass by some time in the story, God really pulls through with his promise. Sarah ends up giving birth to a son, which she names Isaac, which means he laughs. After Sarah experiences God's great miracle and watches him turn impossible things possible, she begins to trust God and decides to give her life to him. She says, God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me. Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age. Like Sarah, many people are skeptical about God. Although they might not outright hate him, they might not support him or love him either. They don't mind if other people want to come and pursue him, but they themselves don't care for it. But at some point, all the disappointments, failures, and unfulfillment in life will pile up and trouble them. But God uses this as an opportunity to work in their lives and show them his great miracles and give them these great experiences to show them that he can truly do anything. And once they taste the power of God and watch him turn their lives upside down, they joyfully give their lives to God. Another important aspect we can see in Sarah's story is that Sarah had Abraham by her side. Now, Abraham was a really faithful man, and he truly loved and believed in God. So surely Abraham's role in her life influenced Sarah and had a big part in leading her to become a Christian.